The next H in our 4 H's of financial wisdom is habits. Now, the Bible's wisdom on money is actually pretty simple and easy to understand, but what the hard part about it is that it's hard to consistently apply. Now, the Bible has given us some very profound principles that really work for every person at every income level at all times, and our challenge becomes to apply them well over a long period of time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to highlight 5 important principles that the Bible points out that help us manage our money consistently well. The first principle is to spend less than you earn. We do this principle because literally every success in your financial life depends on this habit. Hebrews 13:5 and 6 says it this way: "Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, 'I will never leave you nor forsake you.' So we can confidently say, 'The Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me?'" When we spend less than we earn, what we are saying is that we are being content with what we have right now. And being content means we're not trying to live a lifestyle that we can't afford. We aren't trying to find contentment in the things we have or the things we do. And so we spend less than we earn. And this allows every other principle that we apply to have a chance to succeed. The second principle is to give generously. We give generously because giving has this wonderful power of breaking the power of money in our lives. 2 Corinthians 9:11 tells us that when we have given cheerfully, we will be enriched in every way, to be generous in every way, which through us will produce thanksgiving to God. We become free to desire more generosity so that thanksgiving will flow to God. And what happens when we give like this, our desire for money, if it's even still there, it moves more to a desire to bring glory to God. And so this giving generously breaks this hold that money has over our lives. The third principle is to avoid the use of debt. And we do this because debt always mortgages our future. When I borrow money today for something like a car, what I'm doing is I am predetermining where I must spend money, spend a certain amount of money in the future. This money becomes spoken for. I have predetermined where I'm going to spend that money. Now, there are some debt decisions that might be wise, but it's important to know that no matter how good of a decision I make, if I'm taking on debt, I am predetermining how I will spend money in the future. And so I need to be careful with debt. And in most instances, I should avoid the use of debt. The fourth principle is to plan for financial margin. This simply means I need some room in my budget. And the reason we do this is because the unexpected will always occur. Matter of fact, we say that the unexpected is actually expected. And if we don't have margin when the unexpected occurs, it will put us into a deep financial hole. We experience this feeling that it's impossible to get out of this hole. But when we have margin and these bad things happen, we're better prepared to weather them and to deal with them. Not without effect. We still experience some of the effects of these storms, if you will, but we'll have a bit more confidence that we can live with the discipline to persevere through these trials because we have some room. We have that margin that we so desperately need. The final principle is to set long-term goals. We set long-term goals because there is always a trade-off between the short term and the long term. And if I haven't identified where I'm headed in the long term, then I will fail to adequately restrict myself in the short term. Ephesians 2:10 talks about how God has promised that He has prepared good works for us to do beforehand. So when we're setting long-term goals, we're seeking to discover the works already planned for by God for us to do. And so when I'm seeking goals, I seek God's wisdom in doing them. And I know that the unexpected will occur, but if I have these goals in mind, I will have my plan, I will have my path, and I will be headed in that direction. Now, I'm guessing that you are probably good at some of these habits, and maybe not so good at others. And I think this is true in most areas of our Christian lives. And so the best way to be successful in changing these habits is just to start small, to celebrate our little victories and find someone who will hold us accountable for how we are using our resources. It's really hard for most of us to make long-lasting, dramatic changes overnight. We mostly tend to improve a little bit over long periods of time, but over long periods of time we end up making these changes. And then we can look back and we can see the significant progress that we've made. So I would encourage you, go ahead, start making some changes in these habits. And the ones you're not so good at, try to grow a little bit. And the ones you are good at, dive in a little bit more, get even better at those and get going. And these habits, what they will do is they will allow you to live a consistent financial life, and they will allow you to bear fruit in beautiful ways in God's kingdom. And they will free you up. They will free up your view of finances. And they will allow you to enter into more completely the story that God is writing through your life.